What if I told you that confidence has nothing to do with feeling ready and everything to do with doing it scared? You've probably heard people say, just believe in yourself, as if confidence is something you can whisper into existence by repeating affirmations every morning. But here's the truth no one tells you. Confidence isn't built in the mirror. It's built in motion. Let's talk about 5 real truths about confidence that can transform the way you show up in your life, whether you are trying to speak up, stand out, or start over. We're taught to wait for confidence to show up before we take action, but the truth is, confidence is not what you need before you begin. It's what you gain after you begin. People write affirmations every morning, telling themselves, I'm strong, I'm successful, I'm confident. But saying it doesn't make it true. Because confidence doesn't come from affirmations. It comes from action. It's like someone saying, I want to be fit, but they never work out. They dream about it, talk about it, maybe even buy new gym clothes, but without action, nothing changes. Confidence works the same way. It's not something you feel into existence. It's something you earn through movement, through doing the uncomfortable thing again and again. I struggled with speech anxiety for years. It wasn't just about public speaking, it was about being seen. I kept to myself, avoided social interactions, and felt completely stuck. Until one day, I realized something. I was making it worse by staying silent. So I made a decision, not to be fearless, but to be willing. Willing to speak, even if my voice shook. The first few conversations felt painfully awkward. The discomfort was real, and honestly, I wanted to run away, but I stayed. And I kept showing up. At first, I could barely hold a conversation. Then I started contributing to group discussions. Eventually, I found myself speaking on stage, something I never thought I'd do. Here's the thing. Success doesn't discriminate. Confidence doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what your past looks like. It only responds to action. You might look at someone and wonder how they're so confident. But what you don't see is the reps they've put in behind the scenes. The quiet practice. The uncomfortable moments they didn't run from. That's what builds belief. Our brains gather evidence from our actions. If you've never spoken on stage before, of course you won't feel confident doing it. Your brain has no proof it's safe. Why? Because your brain isn't designed for success. It's designed for survival. So the moment you step into something unfamiliar, your brain says, this could go wrong, let's avoid it. But the moment you do it anyway and survive, your brain recalibrates. It realizes, oh, we didn't die. Maybe we can do it again. That's how confidence grows. When I started working on my public speaking, I tried to imitate confident speakers. But it wasn't until I started tracking my progress that I actually felt my confidence growing. At the beginning, I could barely say a few words. But over time, that changed into conversations, shared ideas, and eventually, friendships. Now people often tell me they find my presence warm and my words engaging. But what they don't see is how terrified I was when I began. Here's what I learned. Confidence doesn't come from dopamine hits. It comes from data. We tend to forget the days we felt proud, but we remember the bad days clearly. Your brain keeps a record of failure, but not always of growth. That's why you need to track the truth. Just like someone trying to lose weight can't rely on how they feel each morning. You can't rely on mood alone to measure confidence. You need proof, evidence, a trail of small wins. And if you're doing all that, but still feel stuck, chances are you're aiming too big. Big goals can be overwhelming, not because you're not capable, but because your brain is trying to protect you from failure. So how do you win? Start ridiculously small. So small you can't fail. If public speaking scares you, don't aim for a TED Talk. Start by smiling at someone as you walk past them. Then say hello. Next, join a group and just listen. Observe the energy. Then, when you're ready, share a thought, a joke, a comment. Little by little, you're building momentum. Each tiny action is a step forward. And with every step, your confidence expands. What felt impossible yesterday becomes natural tomorrow. That's how you prepare yourself for the stage, not with one giant leap, but with 1,000 invisible steps. Let me say this clearly. You don't eliminate fear. You learn to walk with it. I've been in situations where I wanted nothing more than to disappear. Moments where I felt my heart pounding, my mind racing, and the easiest option was to leave. But I stayed, not because I was brave, but because I had decided. I was willing to be scared. The fear? It's always loudest right before a breakthrough. People think confidence means the fear goes away. But real confidence is saying, I feel the fear, and I choose to move anyway. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's the proof that you're stepping out of the old version of yourself and into something new. So don't run from the fear. Walk with it. Because on the other side of that discomfort is the version of you you've always wanted to become. So here's what I want you to remember. Confidence is not an input. It's an output of a courageous action. Affirmations won't save you, but consistent movement will. Track your truth, not your mood swings. Start small, smaller than you think you need to. And most importantly, tolerate discomfort. Let it sharpen you. And remind yourself every single day, you're not waiting to feel ready anymore. You're building your confidence, scared and unstoppable.